welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm gonna be telling you about the best and worst books I've read in 2021. Okay, so I just want to start by saying that yesterday my allergies decided to kill me, so I will probably gradually lose my voice throughout this video, and I have to talk not loud, and this might be loud for some people, but I am loud. So yeah, this is me really conserving my voice here. So yes. Also, it's really funny that I recorded my cover for the Witcher song on Tuesday, and then yesterday, which was Wednesday, was when I died. So I think it's funny that I literally did that on the last day that my voice would allow me to. And yeah, also I'm not good at makeup, nor do I claim to be, but this is making wonders because I look like a zombie. And if you watch The Walking Dead, I'm not talking about the ones that have just turned. I'm talking about the ones that have been dead for a while and are falling apart. That's what I look like. That's also what I feel like. So anyway, getting to the books, also I just want to say that these books weren't released in 2021, at least most of them. They were just read by me in 2021. So there's that. And I think I'm gonna start by the worst so we can leave the good for last. So yeah, anyway, let's just move on. Also, these books, when I say they're the worst, I don't mean they're objectively the worst books. They just didn't work for me personally. And so the first book that didn't work for me was Every Vow You Break by Peter Swanson. And so in this book, we follow a woman whose name I don't remember, and she is on her honeymoon with her husband, whose name I also don't remember. And at the hotel, she runs into a guy who she had a one-night stand with, whose name I also obviously don't remember, because it just wasn't very memorable, and also because I suck at memorizing names. I suck at memorizing anything, but specifically names of characters. Anyway, she runs into that guy, and when I read the premise of the book, I thought it was really interesting because I thought we were gonna get a stalkery character, which is terrifying in real life, but in a book is fun to read about. And that wasn't the case. And it turned into something really different and weird, and it just really, really didn't work for me. I mean, I will say that that book had something about it that compelled me to keep reading even though I wasn't enjoying it. So it had that factor going for it, but still it just really didn't work for me. I did not enjoy that. Next we have Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, and that is the third and last book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And I didn't love the first two books, but they were okay. But this one I just really didn't like. And it took me a month, a whole month, to read this book because I kept picking it up and getting bored and moving on to something else, and that happened throughout the whole month until I was I need to finish this book. And so I did, but I just didn't like it. And I know that some people gave it a bad rating because of the ending, but that wasn't really what bothered me. I was okay with the ending. I just didn't like the book as a whole because I thought that it lacked an actual plot line, and honestly I was just bored while reading it. So again, this definitely did not work for me. Alright, so the next book that I really didn't like was Dracula by Bram Stoker. And as a horror fan and also a person who loves vampires, stories about vampires, I was so excited to read this classic. But again, it didn't work for me. And my main problem with this was that Dracula was barely on the book. And I mean, he was in the very beginning, and I did like that because I thought that was creepy. That's, a vampire doing scary stuff and being creepy. And I was like, okay, this is not bad. It's cool, I'm enjoying it. But then Dracula kind of vanished. And the first half of the book wasn't horrible. I like getting to know the characters and their lives, what they were up to, and all that. Like, that was fine. But the second half of the book was very boring and repetitive, and they kept doing the same thing over and over and preparing and not actually accomplishing anything. And the final confrontation with Dracula was just very, very underwhelming. And yeah, didn't like it. And also, apart from those beginning pages where Dracula was doing creepy stuff, there wasn't really any real horror that I felt while reading this book. I wasn't scared. I wasn't really creeped out. Yeah, but if you want to listen about my more in-depth thoughts, I have the reading vlog for Dracula linked down in the description below. Okay, so next I have two books that weren't like the worst books I read, but they were the most disappointing, I would say. And they're both horror, which is sad, and they're both from Stephen King. And they are The Shining and It. I know that a lot of people love The Shining, and I did like the scary parts. I thought they were very well done, and I was creeped out. But the book was just so long, and it had a lot of unnecessary parts, I would say, in which the characters was just like going on about their lives, and I didn't really care. So yeah, I just thought it was too long and not scary enough. And this book, I mean, this one is gigantic, and again, like way too long. And I didn't feel it was scary enough because it didn't have that many scary scenes in this gigantic book. So yeah, also disappointed. And I do have a reading blog for this one, which I will also link in the description below. Okay, now we're moving on to the books that I loved. The first one was I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. And I actually read this book twice this year. And I read it firstly somewhat in the beginning of the year, and then I read it again in October because I read like a short story that had somewhat of a similar vibe, even though it was very different. But like it reminded me of this book, and I was like, I love that, I'm gonna read it again. So I did, and well, this book, we start by following a girl whose name we never know, that he's going with her boyfriend Jake to meet Jake's parents, or so we think. And I'm not really gonna get into the plot because this is really something that you have to like discover for yourself, because it's very confusing and creepy and strange and disturbing and messed up and amazing, and I love it. I love this book so much. But like, it is very strange. So if you're gonna read this book, go into it with that in mind. It's very, very strange. And also, I watched the movie adaptation with my friend, and let's keep in mind that my friend did not read the book, so she didn't know what she was going into. And I watched it with her, and she thought it was very weird. And she was like, what the fuck just happened? And honestly, when I was watching the movie, I was just like, what the fuck is happening as well? Because I didn't like the movie at all. I thought it didn't really explain what was actually happening as well as the book. I feel like if I hadn't read the book, I would be like, I got nothing from that, which was what my friend was feeling like. So yeah, I definitely recommend the book if you like weird stuff. I do not recommend the movie though. But yeah, definitely really love this book. Next book I loved was The Troop by Nick Cutter. And this one is set in the Canadian wilderness, where a group of boys go with their scoutmaster for a camping trip. And so they're there camping, and they have a cabin, and they get an unexpected visitor. And that visitor is very hungry. And when I say hungry, I mean hungry. Like, he starts eating everything. And not just food, like everything around him. He just wants to eat it. And well, it's clear that that man is sick, and his sickness starts spreading to our other characters, the scoutmaster and the kids. And this was very creepy and disgusting in the best way possible. And I usually like supernatural horror, but I think this one was especially creepy and scary because it wasn't supernatural, and like it was something that could happen in real life. And especially when you're reading it in the middle of a pandemic. So yeah, I think that was definitely what made it scarier. But yeah, I love horror, like body horror, disgusting stuff. So I really love this. But again, if you're gonna read this book, bear in mind that it is disgusting. It has some body horror in here, and yeah, if you like that, I definitely recommend this. Another book that I loved was Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematory. God, this title is gigantic. By Caitlin Doughty. And this book is nonfiction and is a memoir. And I don't really read much nonfiction, but I do want to read more of this author because I know she has other books. And basically, this is about Caitlin and the time she spent working at a crematory and how her view of death changed and evolved while she was working there. And I really enjoyed this book. Like, I enjoyed learning the technical parts of what happens in a crematory. I really like hearing her talking about what she thinks about death and her views on death. And mostly they align with mine. And even like when they don't, I really like listening to other perspectives. And I mean, this is definitely not a subject for everyone because, you know, a lot of people don't like death, which is understandable. But if this is something that you are interested in, like, definitely check this out. And yeah, I love it. And like I said, I will be reading other works by this author next year. Another book that I love was Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. And yes, there is a lot of horror in this video, both that I enjoyed and that I didn't. So I guess horror is the genre where I have more amplified reactions, I guess, because I either love it or I hate it. And this one I loved. So in this book, we follow a group of horror authors as they go to a haunted house for an interview during Halloween night. And I love everything about this book, from the creepy setting of the house, the haunting that followed, the characters themselves, and the ending, because the ending was everything that I wanted for this story, because I feel like I am very particular with endings for horror stories, and this one was just everything that I was hoping for, and it happened, and it was perfect. So if you like horror stories that have haunted houses that are sort of like a character themselves, I definitely recommend this book. And again, there is some body horror in here, but not as much as The Troop. And yeah, I love this so much. This book, I think this was my favorite horror book of the year. Yeah, I think I liked it better than The Troop. Because, I mean, I do love a good haunted house story. And that's exactly what this was. So, yeah, love it. And the last book I loved was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And this is a science fiction book. And we follow Ryland as he wakes up and he has no memories about who he is or where he is or what he's doing, what he's supposed to do, nothing. And we get flashbacks at the same time as the character is remembering what is happening. And basically, he is on a mission to save Earth and humanity. And we spend a lot of time with this character alone. And I mean, in order to spend so much time with just one character and enjoy it, you have to love the character. And I definitely did love Ryland. I thought he was really funny, like my type of humor. So that definitely helped me liking him. But yeah, I adored Ryland. And also, I love the fact that there was so much science in this book. But like, science that made sense. And it was so good. And like, the thing that I like the most about this book, apart from like Ryland and the plot itself, which I loved, and the science, I absolutely loved the friendship that was developed in this book. It was so cute. And every time I think about it, I'm still feeling all the feels, and I'm just so happy and warm and fuzzy. And I'm not someone who loves like cute stuff. I'm like the person who likes reading books about death. So, you know, cute is not my thing, but it was so good and so adorable. And yeah, I just love this book. I think if I had to say like my favorite book of the year, like just one, it would be this. Like Kill Creek was my favorite horror book, but I think this is my favorite book, like all around. Because it had everything, the characters, the plot, science, the friendship, everything was so good. So perfect. Like, I don't see anything that I would have wanted different from this book. So, yeah, I loved it so much. And just thinking about this book and talking about this book makes me happy. So, I think that's all you want from a good book, right? Yeah. Anyway, this is everything for this video. I'm glad I left Project Hail Mary for the end because I'm just happy now. And yeah, I didn't lose my voice, by the way, talking, so that's also good. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!